It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the two movies released on May 8th, 2009. And needless to say, the summer movie season did not get off to the best start last week with X-Men Origins Wolverine coming out and putting a really rough start to a season where, a lot of money is riding on the next 3 months worth of movies. So how do you turn the tide around? Well, J.J. Abrams might have an answer to that with this first movie we have here. I mean, that trailer that came out in front of Cloverfield over a year and a half ago really got people more excited than they possibly could have imagined. Because what they were saying about the Star Trek movie while it was in production was not really sounded too promising. You were going to get these, mostly, it was going to reboot it with a younger cast. You had people like, Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana and Carl Urban from Pathfinders. Simon Pegg was probably the biggest name that everyone was really looking forward to, but it felt like they were starting anew, and it kind of felt similar to when Batman '89 came out, and Michael Keaton was cast as Batman, and there was this huge, backlash against him. But it's important to keep in mind that Star Trek around this time was kind of off of most people's radar. Star Trek Nemesis failed at the box office, and Enterprise only ended its run with 4 seasons, which for a Star Trek series to do that, that's not very good for them in general, and Star Trek spent much of the 2000s mostly off of people's radars. There wasn't much of the franchise anymore for a lot of people, and it would take a miracle of all miracles to bring Star Trek back to its proper place in sci-fi history. And then Batman Begins came out, which became the first major reboot, rebooting the Batman franchise after Batman and Robin, and thus the reboot trend was born. We got the James Bond reboot with Casino Royale after that, and then you had 2 big successes on that hand, and so they were becoming a trend, but no reboot proved to be more surprisingly successful and critically beloved than what J.J. Abrams did with Star Trek. I mean, this guy came into this as somebody who was a fan of Star Wars and brought his own unique vision to the world of Star Trek in general, and, essentially, the story here is that it's a reboot of the TV series, which portrays a new cast in the first of the rebooted series, following James T. Kirk, played by Chris Pine, and Spock, played by Zachary Quinto from Heroes, aboard the USS Enterprise as they combat Nero, played by Eric Bana, a Romulan from their future who threatens the United Federation of Planets. The story takes place in an alternate reality because of time travel by both Nero and the original Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy. The alternate timeline was created in an attempt to free the film and franchise from established continuity constraints while simultaneously preserving original story elements. So J.J. Abrams and his guys really put a lot of hard work to make this stand out among most reboots in general, because, they were taking stuff from the original films, but they were also trying to create their own unique vision of what the Star Trek world could be like under J.J. Abrams. And they were very confident in this. I mean, there was a whole thing where they would show this off it's the months before this movie came out. There'd be like special previews all across the world. I mean, Austin, Texas got to see Star Trek a month before everybody else did. Leonard Nimoy was there at the premiere because it was supposed to be a premiere of Star Trek, a re-release of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And then Leonard Nimoy comes out as Spock, and Spock's just going like, "You're only going to show him the first 10 minutes?" Because that was what were they going to do? They were going to show the first 10 minutes of the Star Trek movie, and he was just like, "You going to show him the first 10 minutes? Why don't we just go ahead and show you the whole thing?" And so then, some people, a lucky group of people, got to see that movie before anybody else did. And then the movie came out, and lo and behold, what followed after that was pretty amazing. Because, this was a really damn good movie. This is a film that really... This couldn't have been more perfect how they handled this. I mean, if there's ever been a better franchise to do a reboot with, it's Star Trek. I mean, with time travel being a major part of the franchise, you can pretty much do whatever you want to with Star Trek. Okay, almost anything, but it works because it works. It ended up becoming the second best Star Trek film after The Wrath of Khan. I mean, that's how high most people I would put this up there with. I mean, this is right up there with the best Star Trek film, Wrath of Khan, and it works because everything about it just works so well. And like with Michael Keaton and Batman, once people saw the movie, all the naysayers, all the negative people coming out against the casting in this, shut their mouths up because everybody played their parts well to a T. Chris Pine was great as Kirk. Zachary Quinto was great as Spock. Zoe Saldana was great as I just had her name. Why can't I remember her name? Uhura. Carl Urban as Bones. That was the one that everyone was really shocked at. Carl Urban made a great Dr. McCoy in this movie. I mean, my God, that was just talk about pitch perfect casting. I mean, and that made people realize that, hey, Carl Urban's actually much cooler than we thought he was. I mean, yeah, because of course he followed up with Dredd and then The Boys. I mean, this guy with this movie, this really turned him around and made him more into a bigger name than most people expected him to be, and turned out to be a pretty good actor overall. But then you have people like Simon Pegg, who was great as Scotty, Anton Yelchin playing Chekhov, John Cho as Sulu. Everybody played their parts very well. Bruce Greenwood playing Pike. I mean, this is a solid cast overall, and the way they connect this to the original series by having Leonard Nimoy in here, kind of being the voice of reason and telling this young Kirk that in the future we're going to be friends. And yeah, because in the beginning, Kirk and Spock hate each other, and it's slowly but surely they start to come together and realize that they may not get along on so many other things, but they have that connection that is going to help them become much better people than they ended up being the first time they saw each other. And the movie just works. The movie just works on so many levels. It is such an impressive looking film. The visuals are incredible. The music by Michael Giacchino is top notch. I mean, J.J. Abrams did his homework with this movie, and he did not disappoint at all. This is about as good of a reboot as you could possibly imagine, and it was such a great movie. It helped to reignite Star Trek for this new generation. The sequels, unfortunately, didn't quite live up to what this movie was setting up for. Into Darkness, I thought, was not as good, but I thought they turned it around a little bit with Star Trek Beyond at the end, and that's kind of where the series ended up with, only with 3 movies. But hey, we still got a really damn good movie out of this one here. You could tell that J.J. Abrams and his crew put a lot of work into this to make this stand out as something that is their own, but is also pretty much a great love letter to the Star Trek series in general, and it did not disappoint by any means necessary. It's a terrific film, an incredible film. I love the hell out of it. It's one of the best movies that came out that year. Star Trek definitely is something you have to see. Even if you're not a big Star Trek fan, you'll love the hell out of this movie. It's a great film. So, what movie had the nerve and the audacity to go up against Star Trek that weekend? Let's take a look at this weekend's counter-programming, and that is Next Day Air. I'll use the same thing I said about Battle for Terra last time around. By God, it tried, because, yeah, this movie clearly was trying to be another, a knockoff of Guy Ritchie's, stuff like Rock and Roller, Guy Ritchie movies like Rock and Roller, Smoking Aces, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, that type of stuff. But, yeah, it just didn't come together. 2 criminals accidentally accept a package of cocaine, which they must sell before the real owner finds it missing. And then chaos and hilarity ensues, or at least that's what this movie thinks it's trying to do, and it just doesn't work. I mean, this is another one of those movies where you've got talent there. Donald Faison, Mike Epps, Wood Harris, Amari Hardwick, Mos Def. I mean, the cast is really good in here. The premise could be something good, but not with a script like this. The script overall, it doesn't know if it wants to be that Guy Ritchie knockoff movie or it wants to be a mainstream stoner comedy. I mean, it can't decide between one or the other, and when that happens, most of the time the movie comes out to not be any good whatsoever. And again, it's a shame, because this director, he's a guy who came from music videos. He's a guy that's making his feature directorial debut, and this is the best he could come up with. I mean, this doesn't even look like a film from this director who made music videos for Nicki Minaj, Kanye West, like all these different musicians, and it doesn't feel like he's creating a look to him that could stand out over most other films of this type in particular. That style that he has as a director that is seen in his music videos just isn't in here. This feels like a film that could have easily been directed by anybody, and you wouldn't have been able to know the difference of what kind of person that director is. Hell, I could have directed this, and even I would have been like, yeah, this looks about as bland and generic as you could possibly get, because that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a movie that has a unique visual style to it, or anything that creative about it at all. It just feels like it's just there, and there's just nothing about it that makes it stand out. The humor isn't really all that funny. The jokes are kind of lazy. The set pieces aren't that good in general. It's just not a very good movie. It's a film that wastes a lot of good talent on screen. A good director who could have made a really good film career out of it, but the films he chose after this have not been as great either. This is the guy that did the Tupac Shakur biopic, All Eyes on Me, and then he did the SWAT direct-to-video sequel. Yeah, not a good track record overall. You can tell why he went back strictly to directing music videos and TV shows, because filmmaking obviously was not his repertoire, unfortunately. And Next Day Air is one of those movies that shows that, yeah, clearly was not going to work on any level, shape, or form. Even if it was trying to be like a blaxploitation ripoff, like is homage, like this movie, like some people have been saying it's a blaxploitation homage, but I mean, you can't really see it with this movie in general. So yeah, a hard skip on Next Day Air, unfortunately. So with all that said, we wrap up this edition of Time About the Movies. We'll head into the middle of the month of May. And we're back to the crap once again. We have the sequel that nobody was asking for the sequel to the Da Vinci Code. Tom Hanks returning in Angels and Demons, once again directed by Ron Howard, because the Da Vinci Code was such a big success the first time around. And so we're going to do this again and somehow make it even worse than the last film was. But we also have Jennifer Aniston and Steve Zahn in the indie comedy Management, and Rian Johnson with his follow-up to Brick, The Brothers Bloom. So there will be at least one good movie on this show coming up next time around, so take that for what you will. We'll take a look at those 3 movies tomorrow on the show, so definitely be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell. That's how you get updates on when videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. So, with all that said, I am off. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.